Welcome to Creekside Chats with successful multifamily real estate investors. Dr. Allen chats with successful investors exploring their journey from setback to triumph. Through this window, we glimpse the truths that inspire our guests to invest abundantly and flourish in all areas of life. And now your host, Dr. Allen.
Welcome to Creekside Chats with successful multifamily real estate investors, where we delve deep into the lives of our successful guests to learn the secrets of thriving abundantly in all areas of life. I'm your host, Dr. Allen. My guest today has been actively involved in all aspects of real estate, from sales, investment, management, financing, and construction for more than 10 years. He has acquired residential lots, single-family homes, and multifamily properties. His company, GenWealth Capital, has ownership in over 1,700 units. I'm pleased to welcome today Juan Vargas.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be on your show. I thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you for being here. So let's get into your life and find out who the real Juan Vargas is here. Let's start with let's just go back to your childhood. And when you were a child, what did you dream of becoming?
That's for sure. That's a very good question. So whenever I was a child, I think I dreamed of becoming so many different things. I don't think it was just one. I remember, dreaming of, being just an airline pilot. That was one of the things that I thought was very, to me, it was just one of those cool, like amazing jobs where you're able to see the world. So airline pilot was definitely one of them. Also a professional sports player. That was another thing that I thought myself and dreamed of doing it as a young child, for sure.
What particular kind of sport?
So I love football. So for me, it was either football or basketball. But football was my favorite sport. Growing up in Texas, football is like a religion in Texas. So for sure, that was one of my go-to sports. Just watching it, playing it, and it didn't happen, but I still love the sport and I still watch it. And, I enjoy it for sure.
Well, those sound like fun and interesting things. I wonder, do you still have an interest in flying, and do you do any flying?
That's a very good question, and it's probably the timing of the question is also is pretty crazy because I will be signing up for a flight school here pretty soon. And this is just more for a private license. And so that's because it's been one of my dreams, as a child, I've always wanted to do it, and I've always seen the excitement in it. And so it's something that I want to pursue. So I haven't started yet, although I am in talks with a flight school that's here local. So, hopefully I can do it here pretty soon and start my flight lessons.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting how you had a desire to become a pilot, and sure enough, you're following that dream finally. I had a dream to be with horses as a child myself, but it took a long time into adulthood before I finally was able to make that dream come true. But I finally did. So interesting how those childhood dreams really never leave us. I don't know. Maybe we just never grow up.
I think it's a combination of both. I think you're right. I think it's we're still kids inside. There's part of us that are still children. But then it's those dreams that you just want to prove to yourself that you're able to do, right? And I think everybody has some kind of dream inside, some kind of will, some kind of want, and everybody's capable of so much. Just gotta keep those dreams alive, for sure.
That's right. Well, share with us a particular memorable experience from your childhood, and one in particular that you would, as you look back on it, you'd consider it to be a formative experience.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say there was one particular experience or memory. I would say that there were several examples of the similar type of situation that I encountered as a child that pretty much helped me to align my goals and my dreams into what I've done today. And so part of that, what I mean by that is today I try to spend as much time as possible with my kids. So I have 3 boys and try to spend as much time with them and play with them and just be a dad, like a real dad with them. And the reason why I say that is because growing up as a child, we were working from the age of 11 to 12. We're building trailers, and so we're building, building the trailer from the ground up, and so to us, we thought that was normal, right? That you're working, it's no big deal. But then started realizing that, hey, this is not normal because no other 11-year-olds out here welding and building a trailer. No other 12 or 13-year-old is driving, moving things around, hooking up trailers, doing those kind of things, right? But one thing that I noticed when I was a child was all I did was work, with my dad. So my dad taught me some good values, and that was to work hard for what you want in life, and good things will follow. But he didn't spend much time with us, playing sports, right? And as I mentioned to you earlier, one of my passions was sports, and it still is. And so, just simply throwing a ball, right? Kicking the ball to me, throwing a ball. I never, to this day, got to experience that. And so, all we did was work, as I said. And so I told myself, when I get older and I have kids, I'm gonna spend some time with them. I'm gonna put myself in a position where I can spend some time with them, and enjoy them, have them enjoy their childhood, and just do the things that I couldn't do as a child, right? So my kids are in sports, taking fishing, taking hunting. We're hunting this weekend. Do those kind of things that I couldn't do as a child. So so as I said, I think there was multiple different examples of that, but I think all those examples together kind of pushed me to want to have a career to where I could have that flexibility and that freedom and that time to be with my family,
Well, so you talked about working a whole lot as a child. Tell us, in the last 15, 20 years, how are you different now, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually than, say, you were 10, 15 years ago? And what has brought about the changes in your life?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. So I would say that, a lot of me, I guess, is similar to where I was, 15, 20 years ago. But yeah, there's some things that have changed in me. And so I now appreciate the little things in life, right? Whereas when you're a child and you're younger, you take things for granted, right? You believe that you're unstoppable. You believe that you're going to live to, 150 years old. You can take care of things down the road. That's not a big deal. But now the way I see things is, I get to appreciate every single detail that happens, and I see the positives, even through some negatives that happen. I try to see the positive side of it versus, man, why is this always happening to me? Why is this and that keep happening? Instead of saying the negative things, I get to see the positive things. So I would say, I think a lot of that is maturity. I've gotten to be more mature, obviously, through the years. But as I said, I have a family, so there's a different level of priority as well. And so it's a lot of little things, I would say, but yeah, just appreciate life, enjoy life. Whereas before, I just you kind of take it for granted a little bit, right?
Well, speaking of enjoying the small things in life, uh, tell us 3 good things that have happened to you in the last 24 hours.
24 hours. I would say that, well, my wife was off yesterday, so that was a good thing. She's usually working, and if she's not working, then she's, like in the books, right? Taking some classes, online classes. So she was off yesterday, and so we're able to spend some time with together. I was able to, spend time with my kids. That's always a positive, so that's cool there. I had some time to read as well. So, actually Monday, because Monday was a holiday, and yesterday, reading. And so that's one of my things that I love to do. Just try to, keep reading. One of the books that I finished reading not too long ago was Elon Musk. And then the 4-Hour Work Week is another book that I.
Okay, I lost you there for a minute there, but it looks like you're back on again here. Gosh, this internet connection today is something else. Um, so yes, interesting, and I like how it is that you're able to enjoy the small things in life, and how oftentimes we forget how important those small things are, and live in the future rather than living in the moment. Uh, it's nice to talk about the good things and our successes in lives, but successful people have had to learn to deal with setbacks and disappointments. Share with us a particular setback disappointment that was particularly problematic for you, and how did you deal with that, and how did you get through that?
Yeah. Um, so I, besides what I said earlier about, growing up as a child and, the lack of time that my dad had for us, there were, to be honest, there was not too many setbacks that I had to deal with. Personally, my parents are still married to this day. They did go through some troubling times there for a little bit. I think that was, a little bit of a setback for me. I guess you could say that. Just personally, but things are well now. So I don't think there's too many troubling times that I've had to deal with. I consider myself fortunate for that, but there's some things on the business side that I have had to deal with for sure. But on the personal side, I got to say that I'm pretty, I'm pretty blessed. Is what I could say, on the personal side.
Well, that's good. I don't know that there's many people who can actually say that, but that's it's good to hear that. And it sounds like you had, even though your family worked a lot and you didn't have a lot of playtime and recreational time, it sounds like you did have a supportive and loving family, and that certainly does make a difference. Uh, my guest today is Juan Vargas. He has been investing in real estate for the last 10 years and currently is the CEO operator of GenWealth Capital. And he has ownership in 1,700 units. Tell us, Juan, you did share with us that you just signed up for flight school, and that was a childhood dream to become a pilot. But what else in your life are you spontaneous about, and what is it that you just love to do that nobody can keep you from doing?
Yeah, that's another very good question. So for sure, the flight school has been something that's I've had since as a dream since I was a child, and so I really want to make sure that I accomplish that. Like yourself, I like the country, and you mentioned that one of the things that you wanted to have was horses, right? And that's something when you mentioned that, yeah, you know what, he's right, because that's also something that I've always wanted to have. And so hopefully one day I'm able to accomplish that as well. But one of the things that I really have enjoyed is just being out there in the country, just being out there in the fields and just hunting, right? Just listen to nature and enjoy what's out there, enjoy the atmosphere, and this is so quiet, so silent, and you just get to think like deep and so hunting is something that I really like. I like hiking. I just like a lot of outdoors activities, fishing. As I said, one of the things I like is sports as well, but just nature. Nature. I think it's one of my favorite things. Enjoying the world out there, right? The way you really should be enjoying it.
Yeah, I just can't imagine not having time in nature. And I do. I live in the mountains, and where I live, I'm right next to the forest. So I spend a lot of time just being in the forest. And there's been a lot of studies recently that have indicated that just time, doing nothing else but just being in nature, has a tremendous amount of positive effect upon people's effect. So it's a good thing to do. I'm glad you can appreciate that. We're coming to the end of our time, Juan, and it has been a rather disruptive interview. I don't know what the deal is with our internet today. But in spite of that, it's been a pleasure talking with you here. And I do have one more question, but before we go into that, can you share with our audience here how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can get in touch with me on social media. If somebody, I'm always open to speaking to anybody, just talking shop or just, in a personal way. If there's any way that I can help, then I'll be more than happy to. Social media, that's at the Juan Vargas, at the Juan Vargas, or you can reach out to me via email. That's Juan@GenWealthCapital.com, Juan@GenWealthCapital.com. And as I said, I'll be happy to help any way I can.
Okay, wonderful. We'll have that information in our show notes as well. My last question is, when you do come to the end of this life's journey, how do you want your epitaph to read?
That's a very, very tough question. Very good question, I would say. I would say there's a quote. There's a quote that I like to. That I like, and so I think this is a pretty solid one. It goes, to live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. So that means that, to me, that I left I made a pretty good impact on some people, and so that's what I would like to for my further to read for sure.
Sounds like a worthy goal and a life well lived, and I hope you have a long and prosperous life. Thank you for being on the show, Juan. I appreciate it, and I hope that we can have some future conversations, and that next time we get together, we have a much better internet connection.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Alan. I really do appreciate your time. I appreciate being on your show, and I love your questions. I mean, they're deep, so it makes us think for sure. But thank you so much for your time as well.
Thank you for tuning in to Creekside Chats with successful multifamily real estate investors, brought to you by Steed Talker Capital. Steed Talker Capital works with both new and established investors nationwide, creating opportunities to flourish in all areas of life. As part of our efforts to make the world a better place, Steed Talker Capital contributes to activities and organizations committed to better understand the equine. These endeavors attempt to enhance the human treatment of horses worldwide. Steed Talker Capital, working for a world where all creatures great and small flourish abundantly. For resources to enhance your well-being through multifamily real estate investment, connect with us online at capital.steedtalker.com.